boys all ready, and now we're Leslie, and then they went. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're Led Zeppelin for Musicians on the Record. 1, 2, 3, hit it!
Hey, it's David Ward from Musicians on the Record, and if you think women can't rock, you are clearly dazed and confused. We are with Led Zeppelin, the proof that it happens. Thank you so much, Led Zeppelin, for being on the show here today. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, with a catalog as immense and incredible as Led Zeppelin, how do you even pick a set list every night?
We pass the buck to Marlene.
I think mostly it's based on where we've been before, who's seen us before, what we feel the audience will appreciate in the moment. Sometimes we will make changes on the fly. It really does, we respect the response. So, some people know more of the hits, some people know some of the deep cuts, so we like to kind of mix it up.
And is there any process of like, which it would be hard to believe with Zeppelin tunes, of like, I'm a little tired of that song, let's play this one tonight?
It happens now and then,
You can only...
Ocean again. No. Sometimes, you're in a mood for something one night, and you're just not. Like you want to take it out. Let's play No Quarter for 20 minutes, because we're all zoned out. But that's the beauty of the Led Zeppelin catalog, is that there's so much dynamic. There's so many different types of compositions that it's not just the same fare every night, and that's why we can keep doing it for as long as we've done it.
And how long has this group been going? You started it, Steph, right?
Yeah, I did, I guess.
Or you were co-founder?
No co. It's my stupid idea. That's it. Thanks. But it's had many incarnations, so it's kind of always renewing and refreshing and restarting in its own way. But the idea's been around. I mean, the concept and a band in some form has been around for about 14 years, and this group is about two years.
This incarnation.
Yeah. We've been together, Lisa and I, for 10.
years, yeah.
Lisa's the longest standing member of any band that's been.
You can't get rid of me.
I can't. I've tried.
Bad fungus.
Yeah.
10 years, that's almost as long as Zeppelin was together, right?
11 years. Oh, wow, we have one more year.
So the question isn't really why did you choose Zeppelin as a tribute band, it's more why not. But you must have, as many of us do, including myself, must have loved Jimmy Page and his music. What inspired you to do this?
I still love Jimmy Page. Well, it's not that I started a tribute band. See, this is the thing. And it's it's a very odd and quite naive story, really. I mean, I just wanted to play the music, and I wasn't doing anything at that moment. I was in between gigs, and I just naively thought, God, if I could play any kind of music that I wanted just for fun, to be completely indulgent, what would it be? And Led Zeppelin, it's got everything. I could get into it. So that's really what it was. It was a very casual flirtation with, a fantasy. And here we are. But the interesting thing is that once I started doing this thing and got into it, and we started telling people and getting a band out there, someone actually in another Led Zeppelin tribute band wrote me a note and said, "Oh, you should check out the tribute band page." And I just thought, what is that? I mean, literally, I did not know what a tribute band was. And honestly, if I did, I might not have ever moved forward. I mean that because I just, that's not what I had in mind. But then when I looked at this page, I was like, No, that's not what we are. We're not doing that because we're not impersonating a group and dressing up like them and going out and saying, "Oh, squint and you'll think it's us." We really are just playing because we love this music. It's great music. It's the original fantasy, really. We all love it. These are the greatest musicians I've played with. I mean, and they can play it. So that's number one. And it's a blast because of that, because we're a real band and we play together. And this music works very well for that.
Yeah, and if you can play Zeppelin music, you are a good musician. Believe me, I mean, I'm a hack at Bonham, and so to hear you is really great. Now, you guys also, I don't know if all of you, but there's the classic picture, and we'll show it in the B-roll, of you guys meeting Jimmy Page, because you've traveled all around the world and coming up to Australia, but you met him in London? Yeah, what was that experience like?
Well, luckily I'd met him before he showed up in London at a show, because I think if I had not met him before, I probably wouldn't be here now. I would had a heart attack on stage, and that would be the end of that. Yeah, we had met, and he knew all about the group. So Jimmy, if there's anything in the whole universe, on this whole planet that involves Led Zeppelin, I promise me Jimmy knows about it one way or another. So he knew about Led Zeppelin, and he had listened to the records and everything. I mean, it's crazy. So we thought he was coming to the show because he called us up, called me, sent me a text message, and then called me. And it was early in the morning or something. We had just come from the Isle of Wight. We were exhausted, and I'm looking at the phone, and I go, "Jimmy, who?" And Lisa, "Who's Jimmy?" And Lisa looks at me and she goes, "Steph." Jimmy. I was like, "Oh," so I'm trying to text him back, he's like, "Oh, I'm thinking of coming." And the phone rings in my hand.
Crazy.
And I'm looking at it, and Lisa, again, I think you said, "Answer the phone." It was just so funny. Anyway, so we knew he was lovely, we knew that he was going to come, but you guys knew first. He walked in the middle.
You were playing your bow solo.
But the bow solo of all things.
I was off stage, and my friend who lives in England came. She runs back in the back. She goes, "He's here! He's here!" And I was like, "Shh."
They didn't want to tell me, they were signal me.
So I had to play the rest of the show, knowing that he was in the back of the club. You could kind of see his white hair, but I didn't say a word to her. But she saw him. She saw his hair in the very back. And so we all just put it out of our minds, and just gave the best show. We always play as if one of them is standing in the back of the room.
That's right.
Every show, doesn't matter if it's in Oklahoma or if it's in, London, you always have to give your best. And that's what happened. We gave him a really good show, and he came backstage just with a smile from ear to ear, and luckily there was a photographer back there, and it was just,
Actually, Jimmy invited she was a lovely PR person.
Oh, so it was his idea.
It was his idea. We did not ask for the picture, because that's the classy thing to do. I would never do that. But he invited it, and when he knew what he was doing when he did that. So it was very. It was an amazing thing, and it was tough to know that. I'd been waiting to do this for 10 years. I had this fantasy, and the fantasy was now real. And just as Lisa said, we actually, before the show, we just said, "Look, this is how I play every night. We can either fall apart or we're going to just play ferociously." And we did. We were very ferocious.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah.
It turned out it was our second show on that tour.
Right.
We had played the Isle of Wight the night before, or the afternoon, whatever, the early evening before, and it didn't have any time to test out our back line. We jumped up on stage, and it was like festival, throw the stuff up, play. And luckily we had some time when we got to the club to, go through our gear and figure out what works, what doesn't, what sounds good, what doesn't. And then that in turn gave us an opportunity to really just not worry about that stuff, just get up and play. And we did. And it turned out to be an awesome show. It really did. It was a fantastic show.
It's wonderful. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's high praise when Jimmy Page comes to your show, and then comes backstage and offers a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the thing about it is just that, to be so deeply as an art, artistically into another artist's music, and to try to always raise it to the highest bar and do it justice, because this is the music that you have such great admiration for. To be able to play it for the composer or the original person to come hear you interpret his creation, it's a very rarefied thing that when you get to do that, and you when that person likes it, gets what you're trying to do, and thinks it's the correct thing to do. It was really a great, a wonderful sort of, what's the word? Not vindication, but
maybe affirmation.
That's good. Affirmation.
I told him, I remember saying to him when he whispered something into my ear when I was hugging him, and I said, you just made, at the time I'd only been in the band for 5 years, and I said, you just made the last 5 years of my life worth it. You just, Right. He was like,
all the toils and troubles on the road and all the difficulties. Yeah.
Learning all the material and,
It's hard.
It's amazing. So you guys are the newer members of the group. How long have you been in the group?
Just over 2 years now. Yeah, 2 and a bit. I think Joan about the same time. Maybe.
Actually, officially just over a year. I got my jacket last year, but I've been subbing since 2016, I think. Yeah.
And how did you hear about Led Zeppelin in the first place?
I saw the band in the cutting room after playing a show, as I guess the opening band, and they were the guest band. It was for Brad Talinsky's book.
Yeah.
Which is, about Jimmy Page.
Yes.
So very aptly, they play, and I'm like, oh, I got to play with them. And then I think Steph was telling Brad that she needed someone to come sub on the bass every now and then, and I was just very happy that Brad, recommended me. I know that's like putting his name on the line. I'm like, thanks, Brad. And I remember meeting the band, and I was very nervous. I probably didn't tell them this, but I was very nervous because I wanted to play at the band, and they sound great. And Steph was staring at my fingers the whole time. No, but yeah. It was. You don't remember? And I think that was like maybe in 2015 or 2014. I don't remember when I auditioned, but it wasn't until like a year or after a year which I got my first gig to play.
You clearly got the gig. You've also got an album then coming out this year. Tell us about that, please.
Yes, so we're ready to mix this record, hopefully. But we did a record with string section. So we've been doing shows here and there to get this moving with called Led Zeppelin and a whole lot of strings. And it's not a whole orchestra, which I know some people have been doing that, or as Zeppelin orchestras. This is more, it's really more gritty. It's the full power of the band with more like a quartet, where we have 4 to 6 string players, and they're unusual arrangements. I mean, they're playing with the group and in and around the group, and it's really, really cool. It's a way that you have not heard this music. And we've also recorded some songs you'd never think should be accompanied by strings. I won't tell you exactly what they are, but it's good. It's pretty cool.
Very exciting. And when might we expect to have that potentially this year?
Well, send money. No.
Do you actually have like a Kickstarter page or something that we can?
With that, we're kicking around the idea of starting it.
So whether Kickstarter or Pledge Music or something, you guys will post something like that on your site.
But actually, it's not so much the album that we would do that. We really are building a production. And we've had our eye on a theater production for years. There's a whole backstory to that. But it will happen. So I think that's really where we're headed in that direction, because things are getting a little more complex and it's really
exciting stuff. So it might be New York, might be Vegas, a residency in Vegas.
who knows?
Be kind of cool. You got Santana, Aerosmith playing there. Why not Led Zeppelin, right?
Why not?
Lastly, before you guys go do the show, you guys get on stage every night and you play this amazing Led Zeppelin music. What is it you want the people who are coming tonight, what do you want them to feel when you guys are performing?
Anyone else want to?
Euphoria.
Yeah, Euphoria.
Euphoria.
And that's kind of how I felt when I first watched the band. So I hope they had the same experience.
Very nice, yeah.
It's just the energy of the music. I think we're vessels for it. So whatever, the music was meant to do, I hope that that's what we do and we bring it out to the people. I think that's our job.
Orgasmic.
That is probably very accurate.
Euphoric.
That was a big part of Led Zeppelin as well, right? You know, because we all pretty much know at this point no reunion is ever going to happen. I'm so grateful to all of you for keeping the legacy and the music of Led Zeppelin alive. It's Les Zeppelin, everybody, on Musicians on the Record. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Keeping the legacy alive is killing us, you know that. So, thank you.
But thankfully, day to time, you're still here. So, buy the music, see the show. I'm David Ward. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us.